Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to the fifth and final round here with Jeskai Aggro. So this hand lacks a 1-drop, but what it lacks in 1-drops, it makes up for in, 2-drops and gas. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this hand. It should do decent against most of the field here. Colonnade. Okay. Looks like we hit our first control matchup here. Hopefully Geist can do a good job here. Again, we're still looking for our third land at this point, and we don't know what kind of variant this is of blue-white X control. Basic Island definitely lean towards blue-white control here, but it's not saying anything. Obviously, Jeskai control plays just as many, not just as many islands, but they play a fair amount of islands as well. I'm going to go ahead and get a Hollowed Fountain here. Hopefully we hit a third land. Not a third land. It is a 1-drop. But in this case, I think I'm going to go ahead and run out my Storm Chaser Mage. I think my opponent maybe got hit off guard here. They're like, what? Storm Chaser Mage? What's going on here? And they might have played their lands in such a way where... Getting on stretch. Alright, looks like we're up against blue-white control here. So if we hit a land off the top here, we can actually clear it. Hazoret. Oof. I think I'll just go ahead and run out Swift Spear. It's definitely awkward if my opponent just goes Supreme Verdict here. So Hazoret definitely worse in the Path to Exiles matchups, which is obviously this is going to be one of them. But if my opponent curves into Gideon Verdict here, I'm going to be a little upset. But it looks like that's what's about to happen. Yep. And now I wonder if my opponent's going to tick up their Gideon here rather than get... Alright, so they're getting in, which means we can actually clear the Gideon, which is great for us. We're going to hit land now. I know it. Yep, I knew it. So we do have the choice here of Geist, but then we don't clear the Gideon. I think that's okay. I think I want to take the opportunity to resolve Geist here. And just get this clunky 3-drop out of my hand. That way my clunky 4-drop can maybe hit my opponent at the end of the day. Mystic Gate. Okay, so this could actually be... well, blue-white control sometimes plays a 1 of Mist and Gate, but this could be the blue-white mid-range version of the deck, where they play things like Ojutai. Sure. We'll just get up Plains here. This kind of makes me feel like Geist is surviving. They could have Click, but Helix does a good job at that. Ooh. Okay. Opponent's trying to cut me off of white here. Very fair. Very fair. And they could actually Path to Exile my Angel token, which means that I don't kill Gideon. However, they could also decide to just get in there for 3 damage with Gideon. For 4 damage, excuse me. This is a respectable line for my opponent. They know I'm not going to block. Makes a lot of sense. And next turn they could next turn they could actually have a really aggressive turn here. But we go to 11, and they could play like land, swing with Colonnade and Gideon. That is if they path my Angel token. All right, looks like we drew a white source, which is really nice for us. I'm actually going to go ahead and play around a Spell Snare. I'm going to go ahead and tag Gideon here. Choose a Planeswalker to attack. Yeah, I'm going to send them both to Gideon here. Again, I have a feeling my opponent wants to Path to Exile my Angel, which is exactly what happens. So let's go ahead and get a mountain here. So I guess I missed out on 2 points of damage I think I do want to get rid of this Gideon, though. Again, white source is pretty necessary. White, red. Yes. Yeah, so I missed out on 2 points of damage here. Quite awkwardly, if I do say so myself. But if our opponent goes like land, colonnade animation, yeah, it looks like this is definitely the Ojutai version of the deck. Wonder if they're just going to jam Ojutai here. Oh, colonnade. Wow, that's so aggressive for my opponent here. Especially, do they really think they can race me? Maybe they just have a bunch of Path to Exiles in hand, and so they're sure that they can race me. So I'm going to go ahead and just run out one of my Snapcaster Mages here. Obviously, it's, you know, kind of card disadvantage at this point, but and I know my opponent is not a Lightning Bolt deck. Here, what I'm going to do is play Hazoret. And I feel like my opponent does not have a Path to Exile here. If they attack with Colonnade, it'll be really telling. Wow, they shock. Okay. I have a feeling my opponent just can't attack with Colonnade here. Path to Exile. Yes. Let's go ahead and get our last basic here. If our opponent goes ahead and just blocks with Colonnade, I believe we should have the kill. Alternatively, they could have just like Cryptic Command, tap my team, draw a card. Alright, looks like they don't have that. Wow, this Vapor Snag actually makes life so much easier for me. Sure, the 4 blocks. Let's go ahead and Vapor Snag that back to my opponent's hand. And opponent's actually my opponent was just dead, right? Yeah, Vapor Snag just made my life a whole lot easier. Dispel, Molten Rain, maybe Path to Exile. We'll consider. Like I said, I don't like mutagenic growth against non-red decks with removal. Let's go ahead and bring Dispel, Molten Rain. So Path is definitely really nice against like Colonnades and stuff, but I think that's going a little bit too deep. And if we're already getting, you know, smashed by Colonnades, and you know we got Vapor Snags here too, I think our deck does a fine job beating my opponent's deck. And I think my opponent made a few sketchy lines of play there. I would not have done exactly what my opponent did in that last game. Again, we have a turn 3 Geist. We got Hazoret, we got some Burn, we got some Vapor Snags. 1 drop would be ideal here. Looks like it's just a couple more Serum Visions. So let's go ahead and just Steam Vents, Lightning Bolt. Wow, those are all decent cards. I actually like both of these. Again, burning my opponent out is one of the best ways I can actually win this game. Obviously, I don't have quite an aggressive start. I can't force my opponent to do things like Supreme Verdict and things like that, but our opponent goes bottom top, Colonnade, sure. Again, we know more or less the cards on top of our deck here. Ooh, Storm Chaser Mage. Yeah, I actually kind of like I like both of these. You know, these are both great cards. Obviously, I'm going to want lands at some point or another. my opponent wants to go ahead and jam, let's say Gideon here, we can go bolt it at end of my opponent's turn. And then we can Storm Chaser Mage. Spreading Seas. That's kind of annoying. Sure. Obviously, we can still fetch Sacred Foundry here. And we can maybe force my opponent to Verdict next turn on the Geist. Is that worth it, though? Do I want to force my opponent to Verdict? Alternatively, we could just go Storm Chaser Mage with Vapor Snag backup. I think I'd rather put my opponent on the back foot here, though. Be like, okay, you better answer my Geist this turn, or you're going to be in a load of pain. Interesting, my opponent went bottom there. Either they have everything they need, or they're digging for something. Okay, the question is, does my opponent play Settle the Wreckage? That would be one argument to not playing Storm Chaser Mage pre-combat. Alternatively, it could be that my opponent has like a Vendilion click here. Cryptic Command, return target card, tap all creatures. That is so aggressive, opponent. That is so aggressive. Not even like draw card mode. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Wow, Molten Rain may be useful down the road, but right now, and I can even save my Geist of Saint Traff from a Wrath effect with Vapor Snag. Like, this is lining up pretty well. Obviously, I wish I could find more lands here. Opponent's win condition could be forcing me to shock every turn by bouncing. Getting into the Trials, yeah, that's fine. Getting into the Trials does not do much here. Right? It locks down my Storm Chaser Mage. If we find another red source here, we're going to be in a really good spot. Looks like we did not. However, I think I'm pretty comfortable just swinging Geist at my opponent and the Angel token at Gideon. If my opponent wants to path my Angel token, I think I'm okay with that. Here, this way we get to trade Bolt for a Snapcaster Mage, and I think that's a pretty good trade. Yeah. Here we can clear the Gideon. Put our opponent down to 13, and again, we're kind of insulated against a Wrath effect. I imagine my opponent jamming Snapcaster Mage like that means that, you know, maybe they don't have the Wrath in hand. Jace, okay, interesting. Sure. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that pile. You want to go ahead and spend your days digging, feel free. Looks like they put Path to Exile in hand, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Alright, looks like they do have another land here. Interesting, are they going for the main phase? Because I think I might actually just let that resolve. Yeah. Our opponent's like, wait a second. That doesn't seem good. Land? Land. Sweet. I think I'd rather... Oddly enough, I feel like my opponent's going to be locked into Path to Exiling my Storm Chaser Mage at this point, so... That's going to attack Jace, and that's going to attack my opponent. If my opponent has, like, Snapcaster Mage, I'm going to feel like an idiot. But the way my opponent's playing, I don't feel like they have Snapcaster Mage. All right, we're in blocks, so all right, so they pass the Angel. Okay, interesting. Yes, let's go ahead and get a we have a double red, so why don't we get another white source just in case? And now we still have Vapor Snag mana. Again, protect against a Wrath effect. Wow, does my opponent have something here, like a Spell Pierce? Or are they just fetching? Okay. Cool. So far, things are looking up for us. If my opponent goes land and expects to animate Colonnade to block, then we do have a lethal. If my opponent has something like a Cryptic Command to tap our team, draw a card, then they can also do that as well. Again, Settle the Wreckage is actually this card that would be quite strong against us. But here, don't need to play a land, give our opponent more information here on what's in our hand. Let's just go ahead and swing out. I don't think my opponent can beat a Vapor Snag. And it's essentially the same line of play as last turn, or last game. Dispel? Sure. I think they're still dead here. Because, right, we got a Prowess trigger. How do we want to do this? Is there any... Yeah, we just win, right? Yep. All right. And that's how you 4-1. That is how you 4-1 with Jeskai Aggro. Man, that was awesome, right? So this is the deck that, again, I've been brewing up recently, playing with. This is now the second... no, I went 3-2 the first time with the league. Then I made some upgrades. Now we went 4-1, right? So it's progress, right? And the match that we lost, like, getting stuck on, mulliganing to 5, not seeing land 2 until, like, turn 5, that's rough. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys. We just 4-1 with Jeskai Aggro, and stay tuned for, the closing comments coming up real soon. Alright, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the closing comments here with Jeskai Aggro. Look, guys, I don't know what to tell you, but I think I'm onto something here, and I think Hazoret has a place in Modern, right? So, a few decks have been trying it out, so I like to stay informed and know be in the know-how. Mardu Pyromancer has been testing Hazoret as a 1-2 of in the 75. Lantern Control has been testing it as a 1-2 of in the 75. Hazoret, again, there's always the buzz about Standard, like, okay, oh, it's a Standard card, oh, it's not useful, but I think what I've noticed that I start to play Standard is like, look, Standard feeds into Modern, right? And there are cards that make it to Modern. I think Hazoret is definitely going to be one of those cards. The fact that it's a 4-drop and that it has some pretty serious deck building restrictions means that it's not going to go into every deck. Hey, don't let me forget, we saw Affinity play Hazoret, I think, this past SCG weekend, So, overall, like, Hazoret is playable as like a 2-of in the 75 in aggressive decks. And I think it's perfect in our deck here. I really do think it is what holds the glue together. I don't know if we really got a chance to jam it. I think we won a little bit before that sometimes, but I do think it's quite useful, and I definitely won with it. in some of the the previous matches that I played. I think the deck is configured really well in game one. I think this is exactly where we want to be. Even though we mulliganed to 5 and didn't hit lands that one match, I think we might even be able to go to 20 lands. I'm not sure what would fill that slot, but that's just a thought in my mind. And I think the sideboard was great. I think I had something to bring in every matchup that was relevant. I wasn't over sideboarding, I wasn't messing with the integrity of the aggressiveness of the deck, and I was fitting myself to the role of the matchup, right? Little critter decks were kind of the control tempo deck. Combo control decks, we're the aggressor, right? And we have tools in our sideboard to both disrupt and apply pressure, and interact. So overall, again, let's recap. We beat Green-Black Elves. We beat Ad Nauseam. We beat Bant Nightfall. We lost to Dredge, and then we beat Blue-White Control, right? And I think the deck performed fantastic. Obviously, let me know what you guys think down below of the deck list. What you think based on the upgrades if you saw the first video. Again, I'm going to call this Jeskai Aggro moving forward because I think Patriot Aggro doesn't quite catch as many people's eyes. But I think Jeskai Aggro, and this is definitely a Jeskai deck, right? Aside from mutagenic growth, we're Jeskai through and through. And we're doing what Jeskai does best, which is draw cards, throw burn spells, and, play Snapcaster Mages, right? And we have a fantastic sideboard option in our colors, right? We have Counter Magic, we have the White Hate, and then we have some decent Red Hate, right? Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. That's going to be it. I don't know when the next time I'll get to record another video is, but again, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the Pro Tour this past weekend. If you've been following that, I really enjoyed watching it as I was doing work and things like that. So, again, that's all I have for you. This is Jeskai Hazoret Aggro, and stay tuned for maybe some more videos coming up next week. I'll see you guys soon.